Good morning, everyone. It's Monday once again. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. Certainly starting to feel a bit cooler in the mornings. It was a struggle to take my jumper off right now, but that's okay. We're going to get warmed up nice and quick. Now today I wanted to actually share with you some information about different exercises and things that I see quite often that people aren't doing quite right. It comes down to technique and just some of those fundamentals. So today I'm going to lead you through 5 exercises that I commonly see people doing wrong and what you can do to correct that. Now, if you're working out at home like I often do, you don't exactly have that gym floor mirror to look at, and sometimes you may not even feel comfortable with looking in the mirror and watching yourself do exercises, but I really encourage you to take that step because it can really help you with your technique. You can see how you're doing certain exercises, and if you're following an online program that's showing you a demonstration via video or a quick looped video, it's really important that you can watch that and compare it to yourself to see if you're actually performing the exercise properly. So what happens if you're not doing the exercise correctly? You're more than likely just not going to work the right muscles. That's pretty much the biggest thing that you'll get out of not doing your technique properly, which actually will lead to you not getting the results that you want. Secondly, the thing that can really happen is injury. If you're not performing a certain exercise correctly, then you're more likely to end up hurting yourself or just straining a muscle because you haven't been doing things in the right way. All right, enough chit chat. I'm going to take you through the first exercise that I see. I've just got my dumbbells here with me today. I'm going to keep it really light so I can just show you properly what I'm meaning with my technique. And firstly, I'm going to talk to you about a dumbbell shoulder press. Now, shoulder presses are awesome. I like doing them with dumbbells. As you guys know, I'm all about functional fitness. Staying away from the machines in the gym or at home. You don't need to have all these complicated equipment. You can do so much with just some dumbbells. So an important thing to remember is when you're standing, your feet are going to be hip width apart. I talk about this all the time. Engage your core, tummy on nice and tight. Start with your weights here at your shoulders. So you want to be staying nice and neutral, standing up nice and straight, pushing those dumbbells all the way up, really nice and high. When you bring them back down, do a slight rotation. So your palms are then facing into you. Pushing all the way up, coming down, and just spin your hands a little bit. Now, why would you do this? It actually just helps you activate more muscles in your shoulder. So by doing that motion, instead of just doing what people normally do, they go really heavy because they just want to push out something really nice and heavy and feel that strength component. But what you notice they do is they have a really small range of motion. So they'll start out here nice and wide, so they're already starting higher up because the weight's heavy, so they're trying to take the load, and they just push up and come back down, and they have a really small plane of movement. So what you're much better off doing, taking the weight down, letting go of the ego and the vanity of that, and just doing the move to full motion to get your whole shoulder activated. So starting down nice and low at your shoulders, pressing all the way up, and as you come back down, just a little rotation, okay? Strong shoulders look really nice, and a good way to do that is not necessarily going heavier with your weight, but actually just getting more range of motion. All right, that's all I'm gonna say about shoulder presses. Now let's talk about the bicep curl. This is another one that I often see people trying to go really heavy with, and they end up doing this motion of swinging, right? So you see their whole body moving because they're swinging the weight to get it up really nice and strong. Now, that's really not working your biceps at all. It is just sort of swaying with the motion of your exercises. So again, think about your feet hip width apart, core on really nice and strong. You want to start with your palm, generally, depending, there are a few different bicep variations. Generally, you want to start with your palms facing out in front of your legs. bringing them all the way up to your shoulders, controlling that movement all the way back down in front of you, okay? So make sure you're not doing a half motion of just going up and down like this. Take it all the way down, hands touching besides in front of your legs. Now if you're doing a hammer curl, that's where your hands are beside you, so you're going to start with your weights more so beside you. Bring that weight all the way up to your shoulders and come back down. So if you can't comfortably lift that weight without swaying and feeling like you need to get that momentum to lift the weight up, the weights are too heavy, okay? So take them down a little bit, practice on your technique and bring it up really nice and straight. Your body should not move throughout this, staying nice and straight and nice and tall. Okay, so our next one is a tricep extension, and this is another one that commonly you'll see people sway through, and that they are more so engaging their bicep than really isolating their tricep. So the tricep is something that, the muscle that's underneath your arm. This is the one that all the ladies like to work on a lot of, because obviously we want nice toned arms, and this is one that I often see people doing. Now triceps you can work in so many different ways, but just as a general principle, what I want you to think about, whether you're kneeling down on the ground, whether you're standing up nice and straight, most importantly is to remember that elbow staying in nice and tight to your body. So you don't want to wing out. So you don't want to be doing things like this. You want to be keeping that elbow in really nice and tight to your body, nice and strong through your shoulder. And you want to be keeping that weight at your waist, okay? Extending back nice and long, as far as you can, your arm nice and straight, but not to hurting your elbow. Keep a little bit of a bend in your elbow if you need to. Then bringing that weight back, straight back to your waist, okay? So out nice and long, back into your waist. So what I often see people doing is just following through into a bit of a bicep curl. So they again end up in a sway motion of just going out and in. Okay, we're not isolating that muscle. So hold that elbow in nice and close to your body, weight staying close to your waist, out, back in, okay? So you can think about that. If you're watching yourself in the mirror, or a great idea is to also film yourself on your phone. It sounds a little bit strange, but then you can watch it back. If you don't really want to watch yourself while you're doing the exercises, just film yourself on your phone, then watch it back later so you can see when you're like, oh, my elbow was really out wide then. Okay, I need to think about bringing that in more and then taking it back and extending nice and long. All right, that's all I'm going to say about upper body work for today. I'm going to talk about squats next. And I know this seems so basic, but most people don't do squats right. What I often see is people just coming forward and leaning into it like this, which is not really activating the muscles that you want to for your squats. So what do you want to do with your squats? You really want to be pushing your bottom back like you're sitting on a seat. Again, there's so many variations of squats that you can do, but I want you to think about always having your feet hip width apart for a standard squat. We're not talking about sumo squats here. Standard squat, feet hip width apart. Again, core on really nice and strong. And you want to be thinking about pushing your butt back, like you're about to sit on a chair, but it's a bit far away. So I need to lean back into that. Now, I don't mind where you hold your hands, whether you hold your hands out in front of you, whether they're on your waist. There's lots of different variations you can do. Put your hands up on your head, whatever feels good for you to get your balance. The most important thing to think about is just pushing back into that seat, coming up nice and straight and pushing your hips back under. So you're getting the full range of motion into that, really activating your glutes. So push back, come up, stand straight, all the way down, back up. So if you're wanting to do a sumo squat, if you're going wider, same principles, right? So just taking your feet a little bit wider, core on nice and tight, sitting back into that squat, coming back up. Now, as you can see, my toes are slightly turned out, and that's to really help my knees within this. So if you get sore knees when you do squat, just think about where your feet are positioned. okay? So if your toes are turned in a little bit too much, it's going to add pressure onto your knees. So turn them out slightly just to give you a nice plane of where you're going backwards. Now, if you feel like squats is one of those things that you just can't get any deeper with, you'd like to do a really nice low squat, getting below your hip line, which is what we're always aiming for. If you're feeling like you just can't get there, a great idea is to use something to support your heels, right? So I have some of my weight plates here from my barbell set. You could use anything that's quite sturdy. It's going to give you a little bit of height. That's probably maybe 10 centimeters. You could use anything, some weight plates, some books, some wood if you had wood in your garage. So what you need to be sort of looking for is maybe about a 15 centimeter range, so your heels can comfortably stay onto that plate, onto that height. And what you want to be doing is bringing your heels, can't see that, move back this way. What you want to be doing is bringing your heels, I'm going to move all the way back so you guys can see me. Bringing your heels up on that plate. So why would you want to do this? This is going to change the direction of your ankle. So what that actually does, it helps you get lower in your squat, because sometimes it's not your knees or your hips that won't let you squat, it's actually the flexibility of your ankle. So by raising your heels, you're giving your body the availability to kind of get lower in that squat. Same principles apply. Your feet hip width apart, toes slightly turned out, engage your core, and then coming down into that squat and coming back up. I can immediately feel the difference between when I do a normal squat, come to about here quite comfortably, and then I can feel the strain. When I put my heels up, I can go all the way down, get so much further into that squat just by elevating your ankles that tiny, tiny bit. So if you want to really work on getting your squat deeper, give that a go. Let me know how you go, and I know it will definitely make a difference. All right, number 5, the last thing I'm going to talk to you today is about lunges. Now, lunges is one of those things. If you have bad knees or bad ankles, you most likely dislike this exercise quite a bit. But there are a few fundamentals that you need to know to help you get through this exercise or progress to doing them more often. Now, often what people do is that they feel that they really need to have this straight line when they come into doing a lunge. And what that actually does is it takes away your balance. So what you need to think about is still standing nice and straight with your feet hip width apart and taking one leg back. So it's okay, you don't have to be totally straight with your legs. Take a little bit of width to help you balance and feel really nice and strong through that stance. Now your front foot. Often people will say, or you may have heard, don't take your knee over your front toe. It depends on what lunge variation you're doing, okay? Because there's quite a few different variations that you can do. Good morning, Captain America. So it depends on what you're doing, okay, and how your knees feel with that. It's not necessarily a bad thing if you're lunging forward over your knee. It just depends on what variation you're doing, like I just said. Okay, so giving yourself a little bit of width so you don't feel like you're going to fall over. You're using that to balance. And what you want to think about doing is just keeping your body really nice and straight, going straight down, coming back up. This is your basic lunge variation, okay? Again, I don't mind where you hold your hands, whether you put them on your hips, hold them out in front. If you need to stay close to a wall or something to balance with while you're starting this, that's definitely okay. So what you want to aim to be doing is that back leg, you're up on your toes, heel up nice and high, and you want to lightly tap the ground with your knee. So you don't want to bash your knee into the ground. You just want to do it really nice and light, just so you're getting a full range into that lunge. Now, obviously that takes a little bit of practice before you get there, right? So don't be hard on yourself. This is also a great idea if you're filming yourself or you're watching in the mirror to see your progression, because sometimes it can be a little bit hard when you're working out on your own or you're doing a home workout program that you don't have that coach there being like, great, you're doing really well, you're getting further into those motions. So filming yourself, coming down and back up. Okay, so this is just a static lunge, so staying in this one motion. If you have bad knees or lunges aren't your thing, I would highly recommend just doing your reps on one leg, however many you're going for, and then switching over. So if you have stressed knees, you don't want to be doing things where you're changing all the time because it's going to put you off balance and then really make it a little bit more difficult to do that move. I do suggest, if you're new to doing lunges, doing a reverse lunge. There is a little bit more stability within this. It is, I don't know if lunges are actually easy, but it is an easier plane of motion to be stepping back as opposed to coming forward, especially if you do have sensitive knees. That is going to be a little bit different. All right, guys, that is my 5 exercises that I hope you have found helpful in improving your technique for the days ahead. Now, like I said, don't be afraid to watch yourself in the mirror or film yourself so you can see your progress. And depending on what program you're using, get in touch with your coach. This is something that we have in the Simone Louise Health and Fitness app, is that you can upload photos or videos directly to me. So if you're not sure if you're doing something properly, you can definitely speak to me directly about that and just say, hey, feeling a little bit of strain and pain. Am I doing this exercise right? Just really great that it is such an inclusive program that you feel you can really have that support through, even though you're doing your workouts at home on your own. You're certainly not alone with doing that. All right, it's Monday. Set up those goals. Know what you're going to do for the week. Tomorrow night we have our live webinar at 8 p.m. Sydney time. We're talking all about healthy habits and how to stack them, how to track them, and where to even get started. Like I share with a lot of people, health professionals and fitness professionals, we didn't just wake up one day and have all these amazing routines in our life. We all started somewhere and we progressed and stacked on those habits as we went along in our health and fitness journey to make our ultimate lifestyle routine. So I'm going to share some of that with you tomorrow night. So 8 o'clock Sydney time, I'm going to drop the link below in this video so you can register. Now, even if you can't make that time, if that's a bad time for you, 8 o'clock, my kids are already in bed by then. Woohoo! Most of the time, they're not asleep, but they're in bed. If that's a bad time for you, please register anyway, because I do email out the recording of the webinar. So even if you can't make 8 o'clock on Tuesday nights, I will send out the recording the next day and then you can watch it back when the time suits you. So have a wonderful day. One monkey already awake, other two still sleeping. Yes? So good morning, everybody. We're not going to talk today. So have a good day.
Good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good day, guys.